The king estate sat atop the California hills like a forgotten kingdom, vast, immaculate, and cold. Its walls held stories of power, of billion-dollar mergers, of fame, and of ego, but not of warmth. Not anymore. At the center of this lonely fortress was a man once revered across the business world, Julius King. He was the kind of man whose name opened doors in any continent, who built tech empires with a wave of his hand, and who could destroy careers with a single look. Yet, on this particular Monday morning, Julius sat in silence, wrapped in a cashmere robe, sun pouring through the high glass panels of solarium, unmoved. The world still bowed to his net worth. But inside, Julius was dying. Not physically, though his body ached more than it once had, and the doctors whispered about neurological decay he refused to treat seriously. No, this death was deeper, spiritual, the kind that gnawed slowly at a man's soul until he forgot what it meant to feel anything at all. He hadn't laughed in 3 years. Not since his wife left. Not since his daughter stopped calling. Not since the diagnosis. He fired every therapist who asked too many questions, discarded friends who showed too much concern. He buried himself in silence, wrapped tightly in luxury, but rotting beneath, until she arrived. The maid was not what anyone expected. Her name was Anna, mid-30s Nigerian, tall with strong shoulders and the kind of calm that unnerved people who relied on chaos. She entered the state without fanfare, sent by the fourth cleaning agency Julius had tried this year. The other maids never lasted. Something about the house made them feel watched, haunted even. One said she had a nightmare after spending just 2 days there. Another said Julius King gave her the chills. Anna said nothing. She simply walked in and got to work. She didn't knock on doors. She didn't ask questions. She just moved with purpose, as if she belonged there, though it was obvious she didn't. On her first day, she dusted the library until it gleamed. On the second, she deep-cleaned the gold-trimmed staircases. On the third, she ventured into solarium, where Julius watched her like a man observing a foreign ritual. She was humming, a soft tune unrecognizable. Not English, not Western. It held something ancient, something mournful, something divine. "Stop that," he rasped from his chair. Anna paused mid-motion. "Yes, sir," she replied quietly, without looking at him. He expected her to leave the room. She didn't. "You're still here," he said after a minute. "I haven't finished cleaning." He scoffed. "There's nothing left to clean." She looked up then, directly into his eyes. "I'm not cleaning dirt, sir. I'm clearing the heaviness." He blinked. "What?" "The weight in this place. It's choking." A pause. Then Julius laughed. It was sharp, dry, the laugh of a man who had long forgotten how. "Do you always say such nonsense, or is this a special performance for me?" "I say what I see. You don't know anything about me. I don't need to." He stared at her. She didn't blink. "I'll have you replaced by tomorrow." "You could," she said, "but I doubt you will." That made his jaw clench. No one talked to him like that, not in a decade. And yet that night, as he lay in his king-size bed staring into the velvet blackness of his room, her words clung to him. "I'm not cleaning dirt. I'm clearing the heaviness." It was ridiculous, wasn't it? The next morning, she returned. Quiet, humble, humming again. Julius watched her from behind a glass door to his study. He found himself drawn to the way she moved. Not like someone beneath him, but like someone sent on assignment, like she had purpose. That was it, purpose. He hadn't seen that in years. Later that day, he called her in. "Do you always hum when you work?" "Only when I'm allowed to." "You said something yesterday," he began, "about heaviness." She nodded. "You believe you can get rid of it?" She hesitated, then answered, "I believe it's not supposed to live here." "And who told you that?" "The one who sent me." His brow furrowed. "You're religious?" "I'm obedient." He chuckled darkly. "You'll find God doesn't visit this house." "Not yet," she replied. That silence again. He leaned forward. Something stirred in him, part challenge, part desperation. If you can heal me, I'll give you $1 million. Anna didn't flinch, didn't smile, didn't ask what kind of healing he meant. I'm not here for money, she said softly. Then what do you want? To see you live. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came. Her eyes, warm, firm, and strangely full of grief, held him, and for the first time in nearly 4 years, he felt something. The following week passed in uneasy rhythms. Julius King found himself awake at strange hours, not because of pain, he was used to that, but because of sound, or more specifically, the absence of it. No staff scurried through the house. No voices echoed down the gold vein halls. Only one person dared bring life to the tomb. He called a home. Anna. She moved like smoke. Present, yet impossible to catch. She said little, asked for nothing, but every day her footsteps stirred something in the air, like she carried a different atmosphere with her. Julius didn't know what to make of her. He had met presidents, bought companies, dined with royalty, but never had he met someone so unmoved by his wealth. He once left $10,000 in a sealed envelope on the kitchen counter, just to see what she'd do. The next morning, he found the envelope tucked into a napkin holder with a handwritten note. Sir, you dropped this. Anna. No lecture, no question, no expression, just silence. One evening, Julius called for her from the top of the staircase. Anna. She appeared within moments, standing calmly at the bottom step. Yes, sir. I need help dressing. It was a lie. He was perfectly capable, but he wanted to see her. Up close. Observe. She said nothing, simply climbed the stairs, entered his room, and began laying out his evening robe and slacks. Tell me something, he said as she helped him button his shirt. You're not here just to clean. You said you came to heal. Yes. Then why have you prayed over me, poured oil, spoken in tongues, or whatever your kind does? She smiled faintly. Because healing doesn't begin with noise. It begins with listening. He paused, caught off guard. Listening to what? To the part of you that's still alive. He scoffed. That part died a long time ago. Anna looked up, her hand resting on his shoulder. If it had, I wouldn't still be here. Julius couldn't hold her gaze. He turned away, feigning annoyance, but something in his chest shifted. Later that week, he found her standing barefoot in the garden at sunrise, eyes closed, lips moving. He watched her from behind a curtain. She wasn't speaking loudly, but something about the moment unsettled him. Not in a bad way, but like watching someone touch something sacred, something real. Why do you pray out there? He asked her that afternoon. I pray wherever the ground feels honest. And my house doesn't. She hesitated. Your house is haunted. Julia stiffened. Haunted? By what? By who? She corrected. He narrowed his eyes. Anna folded a towel and continued. By the man you used to be, the one who loved his daughter, the one who laughed before power hardened him, the man who once believed in something. That man died when the world tried to break me. No, she said simply. You killed him. Silence. Julius clenched his jaw. Do you always talk this much when no one's watching? I never talk unless someone's listening. He turned sharply to face her, suddenly angry. You don't know me. I know grief when I see it, she said, unmoved. I've lived in its shadow too long to mistake it for anything else. What do you want from me? He asked, voice rising. Nothing, she answered. But you want something from yourself. And until you admit that, you'll keep paying everyone to fix what only the truth can heal. That night, Julius opened a bottle of wine he hadn't touched in years. Not to drink, but to remember. His wife had bought it for their 10th anniversary, the night before she left. He sat in silence for hours, staring at the glass. And for the first time in 4 years, he cried. No fanfare, no sobs, just a quiet stream that leaked from eyes long hardened by pride. He didn't tell Anna. He didn't have to. The next morning, she found the empty bottle on the table and a note beside it. For what it's worth, I think he's still alive. Anna, kindly like and subscribe to this channel for more stories. The whispers started small. First, it was the butler, Darren, who'd served Julius for over a decade. He noticed that the old man spent more time sitting in the garden now, just watching the wind. He started responding to greetings again. I even said, "Thank you," once. Then the chef, Eliza, reported hearing music late at night. Not the heavy, haunting jazz Julius used to play when he spiraled into despair. No, this was different. Light, soulful, humans. Something was changing inside the house, and people started to notice. But outside the mansion, the world only saw a rich, delusional man spending too much time with a maid. The tabloids had a field day. Billionaire loses grip, turns to housemaid for healing. Julius King in crisis, gives up boardroom for Bible verses. Who is the mystery woman in the mansion? Business partners mocked him in private. Some even questioned whether he was suffering from early dementia. At an investor dinner, someone dared to say it to his face. Julius, a former ally, said with a condescending grin, "You're spending more time with your broom girl than your board members. What's she teaching you? How to mop your soul clean?" The room erupted in laughter. But Julius didn't laugh. He simply stood, placed his napkin on the table, and replied, "She's teaching me how not to become like you." The room went silent. He walked out. Back at the estate, Julius found Anna in the hallway, polishing the frame of a painting he hadn't looked at in years. One of his daughters as a child, painted before the divorce tore the family apart. He stood beside her. "They think I've lost it," he muttered. "Have you?" she asked calmly. He thought for a moment. "I've lost everything, but somehow I'm starting to feel again. Maybe that's worse." Anna turned to him. "Feeling isn't a weakness, sir. It's proof you're still human." He stared at the painting. "Do you think she hates me?" "Do you?" He hesitated. "I think she forgot who I was before I forgot myself." Anna set down the cloth and spoke softly. "Then become him again." The next morning, Julius asked Anna to sit. No orders, no tasks, just sit. He poured her tea, something he hadn't done for anyone in over a decade. "I keep seeing her in my dreams," he confessed. "My daughter. She's 6 again, holding my hand, smiling. Then she lets go and disappears into the fog. Do you want her back?" "I don't know if she'd come back." "That wasn't my question." He stared into the tea. "Yes, God, yes." "Then ask," Anna said. "Ask who?" "Him." Julia scoffed. "You mean pray?" "Yes. I haven't done that since my father's funeral." "Then it's time." That night, Julius knelt on the cold floor of his study. It wasn't rehearsed. It wasn't poetic. It was broken. "God, I don't even know if you're real. And if you are, I don't know why you'd listen to me. I built my empire on pride, crushed people to climb higher, and I lost everyone who ever mattered. But if there's still time to be whole again, if there's still time to be seen, I'm asking." His voice cracked. "Help me?" And somewhere, deep in the silence, he felt something lift. Not all at once, but like a window cracked just enough to let the air change. The next morning, he opened the door to find Anna already waiting. She was smiling. "You heard him, didn't you?" she asked. He couldn't speak. He just nodded. She placed her hand over his heart. That's where the real healing begins. The days began to stretch longer, not because time slowed, but because Julius King had begun to feel again. The weight of old memories, the ache of regret, the unfamiliar warmth of something like hope. They all rushed in like water through a cracked dam. For the first time in years, he stopped taking his meetings virtually. He walked to his private study instead of being wheeled. He spoke to his staff. Not at them, to them. The man once known for his icy detachment was softening. But with that softening came the storm. Julius stood alone in the hallway one afternoon, facing a door he hadn't opened in years. It was his daughter's bedroom, untouched since the divorce, since she chose her mother, since he chose his pride. He reached for the knob, but froze. His fingers trembled. Anna appeared behind him, quietly as always. "I can't," he whispered. "You must. She won't ever come back." Anna stepped beside him. "Maybe not today. Maybe not ever. But you still have to go in. Not for her. For you. He hesitated, then opened the door. The scent of lavender was still there. Faint, ghostly. Her posters still lined the walls, superheroes and ballerinas. Her stuffed lion still sat on the bed. He moved slowly like walking through a church. Then he saw it. On the bookshelf, a birthday card. His handwriting. Slanted, bold, confident. The words etched into him now like scars. To my brave girl, you'll always be the one thing I got right. Julia sank to the edge of the bed, eyes flooding. I was supposed to protect her, he muttered, not abandon her when the marriage failed. You protected your image, Anna replied gently, not your child. He looked up at her, eyes red. I didn't know how to love without control. Then learn how to love without needing to win. That night, Julia sat on the balcony, wrapped in a blanket. Anna brought him warm tea. No sermon tonight? He teased. She smiled. No. Tonight, I just want you to rest. He looked out into the horizon. I never realized how much of me was fake. The suits, the speeches, the headlines. It all meant nothing. And I let it replace the man my daughter needed. She didn't need a millionaire, Anna said. She needed a father. Silence stretched between them. Then Julius whispered, You think she hates me? I think she's waiting. For what? For you to finally see her again. Later that week, Julius called his lawyer. I want to find her, he said. My daughter. Do you want to contact her directly? No, not yet. Just find where she is, how she's doing, if she's safe. Anna overheard the call. When he hung up, he turned to her. I don't deserve forgiveness. No one does, she said. That's why the miracle. The cracks were showing. In the armor he'd worn so long, forged from ambition and ego. But where it cracked, light started getting in. It was 3:12 a.m. Julius King woke up drenched in sweat. His silk bedsheets tangled around his legs like chains. The dream had returned. Only this time, it ended differently. His daughter had run toward him. But just before she reached his arms, he turned away. Even in his own dream, he abandoned her. He sat on the edge of the bed, face buried in his hands. The war had begun. Not on Wall Street, not in courtrooms, not in backdoor deals, but inside his soul. By morning, his house felt colder, not physically, but emotionally. He snapped at Darren for misplacing a file, criticized Eliza's breakfast, even though he didn't eat it. He even accused Anna, quiet, gentle Anna, of reading his private journal when he noticed the page dog-eared. She didn't defend herself. She only looked at him with the saddest eyes he'd ever seen. Are you at war with me, sir? She asked. He didn't answer. He stormed off. Later that day, he watched her from the window. She was outside, sitting beneath a tree, hands folded in prayer. She looked so peaceful, and he felt like a fraud, because deep inside, he hated her, not for who she was, but for what she represented. Hope was the enemy now. It asked too much. It pulled too hard. It required man to change, not just cry or confess, but to transform. That night Julius drank, not to numb the pain, but to resurrect the old version of himself, the one who didn't feel guilt, the one who could hide behind sarcasm, power, and control. He made a call to an old mistress, told her to come over. Anna found him by the bar, glass in hand, the bottle half empty. You said you wanted healing, she whispered. He laughed bitterly. Healing? You think you're saving me, Anna? You're just another lie in a long list of illusions. I never said I could save you, she said softly. Only that I could walk with you while you find what can. He scoffed. You're just a maid, a nobody. Anna stepped closer. Her eyes didn't flinch. Maybe, but I'm not the one who's terrified of being seen. His voice cracked. You think I'm scared? I know you are. You're not fighting me. You're fighting the man you see in the mirror. Julius broke. He threw the glass against the wall. Shards scattered like his emotions. I hate him, he shouted. I hate the man who hurt her, who left her, who thought money would make it all okay. Anna stepped over the glass, calm as ever. Then bury him, she whispered. and let something new live. The next morning, the woman he called never came. Julius didn't ask why. Deep down, he knew Anna had prayed against it. He found her in the kitchen, hands dusted with flour as she kneaded bread. He stood in silence, watching her. Finally, he spoke. I lashed out. I'm sorry. I know, she said, not looking up. I almost gave up. I know that too. He stepped closer. I don't want to lose this war. Then stop trying to win it alone. In the days that followed, Julius changed his routine. He woke up earlier. He walked, unaided, through the house. He helped Eliza cook one morning, shocking the entire staff. And slowly, the armor that once protected him became unnecessary, because in the war within, he was choosing peace. The letter arrived on a Thursday, a cream envelope, no return address. But Julius knew that handwriting, his daughter's. He stared at it like it was a bomb, fragile, sacred, and capable of detonation. Anna found him in the hallway, motionless, envelope trembling in his hand. She wrote back, he whispered. Anna didn't say anything. She didn't need to. Her hand simply rested on his shoulder. Julius took a breath that felt heavier than any deal he'd ever signed and opened it. Dear Dad, it's been years. I never thought I'd hear from you again. Truth is, I stopped trying. But your lawyer said you didn't want to talk. Just want to know if I was okay. That surprised me. You were never one to ask questions unless there was a number attached. So, here's your answer. I'm okay. Not great. Not broken. Just okay. I became a teacher. Can you believe that? Kids make more sense than adults. You hurt me, and I'm not sure if I'm ready to see you. But I'm not writing to punish you. I'm writing because part of me still remembers you before the suits, before the shouting, before you left. I remember the man who built a treehouse with me in the rain, who braided my doll's hair badly and let me put glitter in his mustache. If that man still exists, tell him I miss him. But I need to know he's real, not just sorry. Real. Maya. Julius folded the letter slowly. His hands were trembling, but his face was still. Then, without a word, he handed it to Anna. She read it with tears forming in her eyes. She remembers, Julius said, voice hoarse. She still sees him. Then let him come back, Anna said gently. He sank into the hallway bench. Letter clutched to his chest. How do I prove I've changed? Anna knelt beside him. By changing even when no one's watching. The next few days became sacred. Julius started journaling. Not business plans, not numbers, but feelings. He wrote about the night he left Maya and her mother, about the shame that followed, about the mask he wore, the one that smiled in public but cried in private. He began sharing those pages with Anna. Every morning, she'd sit across from him and listen without judgment. One day he asked, "Why do you stay? Why do you care?" Anna looked him dead in the eyes. "Because someone once sat with me when I was broken, and they stayed. Now I stay." He didn't ask who. He didn't need to. On Sunday, Julius did something unthinkable. He asked to go to church. The staff was stunned. The man who once scoffed at prayer and mocked faith now sat quietly in the back pew, eyes wet, heart wide open. As the choir sang, he wept, not out of sorrow, but surrender. Anna sat beside him. She never said a word. That night, Julius wrote a second letter to Maya. It wasn't rehearsed. It wasn't edited. It was raw. I don't deserve a second chance. But I'm not asking for one. I'm only asking you to know, the man you remember never died. He just got buried under pride and pain. But I'm digging him out now every day. And this time I won't stop. Dad. He sealed it, walked out to the garden, and burned it. Anna watched silently from a window. He wasn't sending it, because some letters aren't meant to be delivered. They're meant to be released. It had been 83 days since Anna walked to the front doors of Julius King's mansion. In that time, she had done more than dust chandeliers and polish marble floors. She had unearthed a soul buried beneath decades of grief, pride, and guilt. But healing is never linear. And sometimes, the closer a person gets to the light, the louder the darkness screams. It started with a call from the hospital. Julius had collapsed, mid-walk in the garden, heart racing, vision blurred. Anna arrived at the hospital before anyone else. She found him awake, pale, wires tracing his veins. It wasn't a heart attack, the doctor explained, but it was a warning. Julius looked at Anna, voice thin. I build empires. And now, I can't walk up the stairs without shaking. Anna took his hand. You're not dying, she said. You're transforming, and that always feels like death at first. Back home, something shifted. Julius grew quiet, too quiet. He no longer asked Anna for tea or shared his journal entries. He sat by the window most of the day, staring into nothing. When Anna finally confronted him, he didn't look up. I've made peace with what I've done, he said, but I haven't made peace with what I've lost. Maya, he nodded. I don't know how to be your father again, and I'm scared to try. Anna didn't reply right away. Then, softly, then don't try to be the father you were. Be the man you are now. Let her decide if she can love him. That night, Julius called his lawyer again. This time, not to ask about Maya, but to set up a foundation. The healing house, he called it. A space for people with fractured pasts, for estranged families seeking peace, for children from broken homes to find therapy, safety, and belonging. He looked at Anna as he signed the papers. I can't fix my story, but maybe I can help someone else rewrite theirs. She smiled, eyes brimming. A week later, he called the entire staff into the great room. Nervous whispers floated through the hall. No one had ever seen all the housekeepers, chefs, guards, and assistants gathered like this before. Julius stood at the front, a single envelope in his hand. Anna stood beside him. I've spent my life throwing money at problems, he began. Today, I want to offer something else, something harder to give, myself. He turned to Anna. You said something to me once, that healing begins when someone stays. Well, you stayed. He took a breath. I want to offer you something, not out of pity, but out of gratitude. He handed her the envelope. She opened it and froze. Inside was a check, $1 million. The room gasped. Anna looked up, stunned. I can't take this, she whispered. Yes, he said, stepping closer. You can, not for cleaning my home, but for helping clean my soul. Tears filled her eyes. Money didn't heal you. No, he said, but you taught me how to be a man who doesn't need it to feel whole. She held the check with shaking hands, then slowly placed it back in the envelope. I'll accept it, she said softly, but I'm giving it away to your foundation, so more lost people can find what you found. Silence, then a slow, quiet applause from the chef, then the gardener, then every soul in the room. Julius didn't cry, but he bowed his head, because for the first time in his life, he felt rich. Please subscribe to this channel for more. Rain fell the morning Maya came home. Not a storm, just a soft, cleansing drizzle, as if the sky itself was washing something away. Julius stood at the front door, dressed not in his usual silk robe or tailored suit, but in a simple gray sweater. No staff, no ceremony, just him, alone. Anna waited inside, her hands pressed together in silent prayer. A black car pulled into the circular driveway. The back door opened, and there she was, Maya King, grown, fierce, beautiful, and guarded. She stepped out, umbrella in one hand, letter in the other. The one he had burned but also rewritten and sent again. Julius didn't speak. He didn't run. He didn't plead. He simply opened the door. Inside, she looked around, eyes scanning the walls that used to echo with her laughter, and later, her absence. You changed the curtains, she said. He nodded. They used to make the room feel smaller. They made me feel smaller. Silence. Then Julius reached into his pocket and pulled out a photo. It was old, faded, framed. A picture of him and Maya in the rain, standing under a half-built treehouse. Mud on their shoes, joy on their faces. I've kept this by my bed for years, he said. Not because I remember the moment, but because I forgot. And I needed to remind myself who I was before I let ambition replace love. Maya looked at the picture, then at him. Why now? She asked. Why reach out after all these years? He took a breath, the words trembling as they came. Because for the first time, I have something to offer that isn't money. They walked the house together. She ran her fingers along the piano, where she once learned to play. She stood in her childhood bedroom, now redecorated, but the scent of lavender remained. They sat on the balcony as the rain slowed, and he said the words he had never said, not even when she cried for him as a child or begged for answers as a teen. I'm sorry, Maya, for every day I made you feel unloved, for choosing power over presence, for being a stranger in your story. She didn't speak for a long time. Then, softly, I came today to say goodbye. His face fell. I needed to see you once more, to know if I could move on without the anger, without the ache. She turned to him, tears in her eyes. But maybe this doesn't have to be goodbye. Weeks passed, then months. Julius and Maya began exchanging letters, actual handwritten notes. They didn't pretend nothing had happened. They acknowledged the pain, the betrayals, the silence, the years stolen by ego. But with every note, they rebuilt, not the past, not what was lost, but what could still be found. And Anna, she remained a constant, until the day came when she quietly packed her things. You're leaving? Julius asked, stunned. She smiled. I was never meant to stay forever. I was just a bridge. You've crossed now. He looked down, unsure. You never told me your story. She took his hand. I didn't have to. You gave me the ending I never got. Forgiveness, even when I couldn't give it to myself. He held back tears. Where will you go? To find others, she said. To sit beside the next broken man, the next aching woman. To stay, and help them remember who they were. She turned to leave, then paused at the door. Oh, she added, smiling, and thank you for the $1 million. They both laughed, quiet, rich-healed. 1 year later, the healing house was real, built from marble and mercy. In its halls walked men and women with bruised hearts, children holding hands with broken fathers, and mothers who finally forgave themselves. At the center of it all, Julius King, not as a millionaire, not as a man mocked, but as a man redeemed. Please like and subscribe to this channel.